Hey everybody, welcome to another Yami Noob video. Today's vlog is a teensy bit more somber. I'm going to be discussing how I've been handling two motorcycle crashes that have been in my immediate personal life. So I reported about a week ago on Gixxer Brah's crash. I tried to get the word out and help him out as much as possible. I'm still trying to sell the Janus as the time of me recording this thing. I wasn't able to sell it. And we spoke a little bit on Instagram. He sent me a couple voice notes. Man, he's not in a good way. And I feel awful. And I'm just like, I've had some people in my personal life ask me, like, oh, does that affect your riding? How does that affect how you're feeling about motorcycling? And it always shakes you up a little bit, man. I think anybody that says that when somebody they know personally has gone down, that it doesn't affect them at all, that's just not true. It's just a reminder that it can happen to any of us. But I also think it's a reminder to practice those best practices, right? To do the best we can and to make the best choices we can. So Gixxer Brah had his crash, and then a buddy of mine also went down. He had some pretty severe road rash. And I think what we can do from both of those things, anytime something happens to someone else, obviously you want to be empathetic, you want to care for them and do all that, but you also have the opportunity to have second mover advantage, right? Or at least like an observer advantage of like, okay, that happened to that person, what can I take away from this situation? And it all comes back to the risk offset, right? This is something I learned about when I did my MSF instructor class earlier this year. So for those of you who don't know, I was certified to teach the basic rider course. I thought it'd be kind of cool on like weekends where I had some free time to go and teach people how to ride. It turns out that being a young father and running a business means I don't have a lot of time. So I actually am not going to be teaching, but I have done the course and the certification. And one of the things they talk about is risk offset, right? It's really just like, kind of riding within your means and understanding the risk factors you can control for. And it's a great opportunity to remember that, this idea that, oh, you're just going to go down, you just don't know when. I don't know if I truly believe that. I would never victim blame anyone who's been involved in a motorcycle accident. I think we often have to think about all the facts and the factors and to think about, what could have happened differently. And all I know is that when I go for a ride and I go and I have fun on my motorcycle, that's the thing I'm thinking about much more now. I'm thinking much more about how can I mitigate these risks? What's the best choices I can make? Because when something like that doesn't happen for a while, when you've been riding on track, you've been going fast, riding on street, no problems, you get into this kind of complacent sense. And it's crazy because I've been involved in a extremely serious motorcycle crash. It was 100% my fault. It was 100% preventable, but I still had to work 18 months after that incident to get back to both physical fitness and mental fitness to ride a motorcycle. And I would never wish what happened to me upon anybody. And it took every ounce of my being to say, I understand what happened in my crash. It was my own fault. I'm never going to let that happen again. I want to enjoy motorcycling responsibly. I've been given the gift and the opportunity to continue enjoying motorcycles. I have my body, my mind. I can move my limbs. I've recovered, and then it was time to mentally get back to that point. So in the case of Gixxer Brah's crash, for me, it just reminded me that, we just got to be, intersections are crazy, it's crazy that Gixxer Brah crashed at an intersection. A car jumped out in front of him and he didn't have enough time to get away from it, right? He didn't crash into the back of a minivan doing 180. I think we would have had a very different conversation about his crash if the factors were such that, he was massively speeding and then he hit a minivan in the back and killed people. Obviously then you have a very different type of conversation, You're not going to be like, oh, guys, help donate to this guy. Okay, look, he made some choices that led to a very bad decision, right? And I don't know. For me, I've been thinking much more about my defensive riding. I've been honing in and fine-tuning areas that I may feel that I've been a little bit more unsafe. I started wearing my airbag again. I kind of stopped wearing my airbag for a while because I was like, man, it's super hot. Like, I'm just going to wear my regular armor. I've done it for years. It's fine. But then, you know, like, I saw Gixxer Brah's crash, and I was like, dude, if I hit a car, I want an airbag on really bad. And I don't know if the conversation is so much about gear. Of course it is. Like, gear's very important. But I kind of treat gear as an insurance policy, and I'd like to have the best insurance policy possible, right? Especially for bodily harm like that. But I think it really starts with making the best choices possible, right? I'd much rather prevent a crash than to be in a crash and wear all my gear or whatever, right? Like, I'd like to do both. That's why you guys see me when I ride, whether I'm on a sport bike, whether I'm on my adventure bike, whether, you know, maybe sometimes not doing wheelies on the ground, but maybe I should be, right? I don't think I need an airbag suit to be in a parking lot doing 15 mile per hour wheelies on the ground, but I wear, you know, protective gear. I wear my, you know, like slide resistant jackets and stuff. Like, there's a lot that you can take away from that. All right, so this is interesting. This is the thing that the fella said that, because there was a guy just now who said that he made it through this. I think I'll probably just go through this water. It doesn't move. It's moving a little faster over there. All right, let's go adventuring a little bit. Oh yeah, this is fine. This is fine. A little slick, but it's fine. That's a bit different than last time I was here. But even something as small as that, right? Like, I could have just plowed through and been like, oh, let me just, you know, it's just some water, let me just go. But you just take a second and you're like, wait, let me see, let me make sure it's not too deep, let me just take a look at the situation, you know? You can do that all the time with motorcycling. You come up to an intersection, you know, like, just, there's all these little practices you can do to keep yourself safer. And one thing that really warmed my heart was seeing Matthew Woods talk about this in one of his recent videos, because I know that he and Gixxer Brah had like collaborated a little bit, and I know that they were planning on making some more content. I think Matthew rode with Gixxer Brah on street, and it just made him be like, whoa, this guy's certifiably insane. And I mean, he is, right? Like, we can all agree that Gixxer Brah is definitely a loose cannon when it comes to the way he rides his motorcycles. And it was why I made the choice to, when I rode with Gixxer Brah, we did it on track. Or when he came through the studio, we did like little wheelies and stuff in front of my shop. I didn't really want to put myself in a position where I'm chasing him down doing a $180 on the highway, because that's just simply not the way I ride. That's what it always comes back to, boys, is you gotta ride your own ride. You gotta respect yourself. You gotta understand what you're trying to do with motorcycling and not let anybody else's influence affect you. Because the consequences are super severe, bro. Like, Gixxer Brah's probably out for years now from riding a motorcycle. And his accident wasn't entirely his fault, but you also have to ask yourself, like, you know, was there anything he could have done differently? Maybe he could have been wearing some gear and it would have prevented some of what happened to him. Not all of it, right? I mean, especially, you know, you hit a fixed object going 70 miles an hour or whatever, 50, whatever you want to say it was. It's gonna hurt no matter what, dude. Especially if that object has no give and you're just gonna put all your force into it. I think the conversation around gear sometimes misses the mark in that there are certain incidences that it does not matter what gear you're wearing, and you have to ride in a way that you prevent that from happening. The two most common ones I see that it doesn't matter how much gear you're wearing. If you low side going on a nice twisty road and you hit a tree, you hit a fence post, you hit a sign, you fly off the canyon, I don't care. You could be wearing a full airbag Dainese suit. Like, I don't care what you're wearing. You're about to be seriously injured and maimed. You're about to have a really, really, really bad time. The other crash I see that, to be honest, it doesn't matter how much gear you're wearing, is intersection crashes, right? Truck pulls out in front of you, you slam into a car. Right, you can be wearing all the latest and greatest Alpine Stars, you know, all that good stuff. Still gonna hurt like hell. So trying to ride in a preventable way is really what you want to do. There was also another crash here on YouTube. Chase on two wheels had a car pull out in front of him, and he was wearing his airbag suit, and he kind of like flipped the car and ended up on the other side of the road. Looked pretty nasty. It did not look like it was a fun crash, but all things considered, for pile driving into a car,
he ended up pretty okay. Like, I know he had some bumps and bruises, but didn't have life-altering injuries, So the gear matters. The gear very much matters, and it's why I said, like, I updated the software on my airbag suit, and I'm wearing it all the time again now. I double-checked that it has enough space inside of my jacket to deploy using the thing that they mentioned online. Like, there's lots of ways that you can make sure your gear is going to be working for you. I think that there's a reason that there's those old-timers on the Goldwings and the BMW GSs who put on real miles on their bikes. They're not garage queens. They don't go out 2,000 miles a year or whatever, and they haven't had an incident in 25 years or whatever. It is testament to rider awareness, rider ability, and training, and taking this seriously. We talk about it all the time here on the channel, where there's just like a couple factors that if you just avoid those, you're already way ahead of the curve. But you gotta ride in a cognizant sort of way. You can't be thinking that you're gonna be riding invincibly or anything can happen. Like, it's just, yeah, dude, it sucks seeing your friends crash. Like, it sucks seeing your friends really injured and get mangled up and messed up in relatively preventable ways. Like my buddy who had his road rash, I'm kind of like, dude, like, if you had just worn a jacket, all that on your side, man, would have been fine. Or if you'd been wearing just like a decent pair of riding shoes, like these I'm wearing right now are just like riding sneakers. Like, these are much more casual than I normally would wear, but even these are going to prevent my ankles and some slide damage. Like, it really matters. It makes a big difference. And at the end of the day, it's a wake-up call, man. Whether you have the crash or somebody who had the crash, it is always a wake-up call to say, man, I can't be complacent on this motorcycle, man. I really can't. I got to think about how I'm going to ride, how I'm going to be safe, how I'm going to make a plan to come back home. And yes, I understand. There are times where shit hits the fan and there's nothing you can do. But I gotta be honest, those are really, really rare. It's really rare to encounter something like that. I mean, we've seen the videos, right? Like, there's freaking tire pops off and hits a rider on the other side of the road, or some car like loses control and, crashes into you. I mean, it can happen, but it is very rare. So yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of feedback on the Gixxer Brah video saying like, oh, he had it coming. He always rode crazy. And I'm like, man, but he didn't even crash in the way that y'all are saying. Like, again, if he had ran into a minivan, very different conversation we'd be having. But he genuinely, a car turned out in front of him, man. Like, it could have happened to any of us. And it could happen to me, right? Like, it could happen where I'm just not paying attention one day, just that one moment of inattention, and something goes wrong, right? But I also take the tack that, like, these things are dangerous, obviously, but they're not as dangerous as people make them out to be. I don't think that they're such that it's like, oh, anytime you get on one of those things, you're gonna freaking die, man. Like, all these cagers are out here trying to kill you. I'm like, kinda, but not really. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, even in my, like, daily commutes, I just feel like the last, before the Gixxer Brah incident, I just felt like I was riding a little too much on the envelope, a little too much outside of what I would deem as safe riding. And it's also like, if you do the same commute every week, you get really familiar with the road conditions and you understand what you can and can't do. But yeah, something like that just kind of shakes you up, man. Makes you realize that you gotta take it easy, boys. And I think that's the benefit, that if we can take some sort of positive out of two people having really bad, nasty accidents, especially Gixxer Brah, is, you can now take that information and try to be safer. Try to ride in the way you want to ride, and do what you got to do. I really liked in Matthew Wood's video where he mentioned how he's only going to go fast on track, and he's going to pop wheelies in the lot, and he's just going to take it easy on the road. That's how it should be, man. That's how it should be. And if you can develop that mindset at a younger age, you're going to avoid a lot of pitfalls and problems. You're not going to be, riding out of your skin at 22 when you don't have the skills to pay the bills and end up in a really bad way, So, boys, I think that wraps us up for today. I've just been thinking more about how these things that we love can really, in the blink of an eye, take it all away from us, man. They're fun, but it's serious fun. You got to practice good riding habits. Got to stay defensive. No prize for being the fastest on your local twisty road. it's just a good wake-up call and a reminder. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.